Hello, and welcome to the very first review on Luxuries Updated. What we are going to do today is Outrun. I'm going to start with the Commodore 64 version and hopefully work my way through the Spectrum one and possibly look at the Master System. Maybe even there's a rumour that there was an Atari 800 version as well, so hopefully I'm going to try and cover all them. But today we're going to go with the Commodore 64 one. So I am taking it from this here, which is Coin-Op Hits, which is a tape version. Picked it up in a place in Dublin city centre called Rage in Fate Street. If you're in Dublin, I recommend it. So I'm going to fire up the Commodore, which is cunningly hidden over here. And you can see the lovely blue screen. Now, the interesting thing, well, it's not interesting really. The funny thing about the tape version of the Commodore 64 version of Outrun is it actually comes in as 5 different programs. The reason for that is if you've ever played Outrun, which if you're on this blog you probably have in fairness, Outrun has branching paths. So you start off on one little branch, one road, and you'll come to a fork in the road, and whether you take a left or a right means you go into a different section. And then at the end of that section there's a fork in the road, and so on. So you end up with 5 different possible routes that you can take. Now, all the other versions of the game, as you can see there, sorry, B route, all the other versions of the game that I've seen, and I think even the disc version of the Commodore 64, came to these forks in the road and you could pick which route you wanted to take. The tape version didn't really go that way, so what they did was they basically did the game with one route, in other words, as if you went all left. The second route, which is route B, is if you took a right, and I think continued right. The third one then is a right and a left and all left. Basically you ended up with 5 different tape versions of it, and you had to go and play the first one, make a note of where it was in your tape deck, and then go, when you'd made a note of that, if you wanted to do a different route, you fast forward to that part of the tape, hit play and load it up as you see there. So what we're going to do through the magic of editing is jump ahead and see if we got ourselves a loading screen in a minute. And because otherwise you'd be sitting here looking at a flashing screen and listening to me talk, which is probably no fun for anyone. So back in a minute. Okay, well here we are. You've got the lovely Outrun loading screen. Again, one of the great things about the 8-bit computers that if you came from console land you missed out on was the loading screens, because you had to have something to look at while you sat there waiting for your game to fail to load after 20 minutes. This is a pretty good one, but quite often a lot of them out there had some music playing as well. The Ocean Loader music, if you ever talk to anyone that had a Commodore, they'll rant about how good the Imagine music was, the ocean loading music. Later games again had video games built into the loading screen, little Space Invaders, a thing called Invade-A-Load. So while you're waiting for your game to load, you could go and play a game as well. Never really saw that since. The only place I've ever seen anything remotely like it is the Tekken games and the Ridge Racer games by Namco. Both did something fairly similar, even though the old PlayStation 1 had fairly minimal loading times. But there you go. It's loading screens. Really a lot of fun. One of the more interesting things, well, again, I say it's interesting, it's not really. One of the more unusual things about the original release of Outrun on tape was that, as well as the game and the instructions and what have you, the US Gold, the publisher, actually gave a audio copy. I don't know if you can see this, well you can't really, but there's a little indication there what it is. An audio copy of the arcade music on the back of, oh, we've a loading screen, very good. An audio copy of the game's music on the back of the tape. There's the blank back of the tape that really isn't relevant. So I'm going to put that on now and you can have a quick listen. That actually doesn't sound great at all. That's the tape, like I said, it's the B-side of the game. Your A-side would contain your various different routes, and the B-side would contain music sampled from the arcade machine. Which is a pity really, because the Commodore does great music in its own, but if you really wanted the arcade experience back then, that's what you'd use. You'd have your tape in your tape player, and you'd have your Commodore loading your game. Okay, we're going to skip ahead to when the game starts. See you in a bit. So, finally loaded up. Now, as I was saying, the music on the Commodore 64 version is actually pretty good. It doesn't really need the audio tape at all. This is Splashwave and Magical Soundshare. I don't know why I'm reading the names out there. You can probably read them yourself, but there you go. Now, I've actually been cheating a bit. I was initially trying this with my trusty, don't know if you can see it there, a trusty Atari joystick. But the problem with playing 8-bit computer racing games is the control system is horrible. You're basically pushing forward to accelerate, pulling back to brake, left and right to steer, and gears, if there are any, are using your fire button, which is really, really hard to control. So I've cheated a bit, and I don't know if you can see it there, using a Master System controller. Bearing in mind it's a Sega game and it's a Sega controller, it's not really cheating. So here we go, Outrun. Into second gear there. So, as you can see, it actually scrolls pretty fast. I mean, if you imagine old 8-bit games as being fairly slow, it's surprisingly fast. The graphics aren't bad. I mean, by comparison to some of the other formats, they're a bit blocky. But they're adequate, nice and colourful, everything flies along there. See, some cars there. Now, there's a little Easter egg in that if you crash, there's some initials on the underside of the car. GB. I'll show you them later on. If I crash, it's obviously intentionally, so I can show you the initials. I thought originally it was one of the programmers, but it's not. So whether it's Great Britain or whether it's something else, I don't know. But there you go. Oh, I had a little bump there. Now, there you go, some Lego houses there. Oh, there we go, stage 2. Now, as I was saying, if you're lucky enough to have a disc version, as far as I know, you get a fork in the road and you could pick which route you wanted to take. This route is solely based on which version I've loaded up. Some lovely blocky, I think they're supposed to be Grand Canyon style rocks. I've been overtaken by some Volkswagens. Oh. It's a cracking version of the music. Oops. Don't think I'm going to make it past this particular stage. But we'll just try for the best. No, there we go. Unfortunately, it's not one of those games that you gradually roll to a halt and might skip on to the next stage. Okay, so Outrun. It's pretty enjoyable. I will be going back to this again. We'll be trying the other routes, but definitely fun. Probably will look at the Spectrum version next, so stick around for that. Oh, I'm going to see as well, as I mentioned, there is an Atari version, but I don't think it's been finished. We'll see if we can find some details on that. Okay, there you go. Outrun. So I had a quick look, shaky camcorder ahoy, and there was a work in progress on the Atari 800, which is this beast of a machine here. Unfortunately, it seems to be one of those work in progress that stopped working. Really, there's been no progress. But if it was working now, it would be absolutely brilliant. So here's a little clip of it. Okay, the car isn't much cop, but the old scrolling is very good. It's a pity they never progressed with this. It looks like the company Atlantis that are involved in it were actually trying to go with the retail version of it, although I could be wrong. Yeah, that's really good scrolling. It's a pity now that this wasn't finished. I must have a search around to see if there's any, maybe a demo of it or anything. But it's probably as close as I'm ever going to get to reviewing an Atari 800 version of it. But, game over. Okay. So there you go.